Feasts in Vilnius. Pâté is the king.
You open the doors to the Lithuanian Youth Theatre and you find fine gentlemen dancing with even finer ladies, servants carrying trays full of glasses, tables laden with hors d'oeuvre, and all the host can think about is how did the pâté come out? 300 years ago, the building where the Youth Theatre is located today belonged to the Oginsky family, who often hosted wild parties for the elite of Vilnius, and the pâté maker was a particularly well-respected master of cuisine. There were plenty of occasions to celebrate. Relatives would gather for birthdays, christenings and weddings. The elite would celebrate name days and coronation anniversaries. Not a single Christmas, Easter or Shrovetide would pass without wine and dance. Vilnius nobles had special ballrooms in their palatial homes. Festivities would also be held at the city hall, and if some official would dare claim that there wasn't enough money in the public coffers for a celebration, his colleagues would quickly dispatch him for additional training in the city hall jail. One Vilnius official sat festering behind bars until the necessary funds were eventually found. Balls required extensive preparation, and there were even special guidebooks published for that very purpose. From one such instructional pamphlet, we learn that rooms should be cleared of all flies and any dogs with fluffy tails. Guests would first be directed to the ballroom. In Vilnius, the most popular dances were the Polish mazurka and polonaise, the French minuet, the contradance from England, and the German allemande. Between dances, guests were offered something to eat and drink, and at midnight everyone would be called to the table for a very late dinner. Hosts did all they could to astound their guests, like serving 4 enormous roast boars, for example, symbolizing the 4 seasons, or 12 roasted stags, one for each month, and 365 sweet cakes, and 52 barrels of wine, one for each week of the year. The design of each dish was also meant to impress. Folders made of sweet dough with almonds, or a baked version of Jerusalem, surrounded by walls and guarded by sugar-spun soldiers, or a gigantic pâté, served under a hat. Removing the hat would release a flock of birds into the air. Pâtés made from meat, vegetables, or fish were essential dishes and would reveal the true talent of the host's kitchen. Pâté masters were considered true artists. Pork was not very popular, and tables were more often laid with lamb, beef, veal, and fowl. What's more, caviar was relatively inexpensive in Old Vilnius, and some Lithuanian cheesemakers made their own parmesan. At the most exquisite feasts, when the king was present, everyone trying to get a seat at the ruler's table. Sometimes the pushing and shoving ended in fistfights, and more aggressive men didn't hesitate in shoving women off their chairs. The largest celebrations would attract several hundred people. Sometimes even regular city folk also benefited from noble servants bringing out free food and drink to them in the streets. And if the party lasted until morning, the faces of the most incapacitated guests often had to be pulled out of their bigos, or hunter's stew, made back then from cooked meat or fish. All you had to do was slice up the meat, add onions, vinegar, sugar, raisins, pepper and cinnamon, mix it all together well, and then wait for your guests to arrive.